Yo, fam, you are not ready for what just went down in LA this week. Okay? This is the kind of drama that'll have your jaw on the floor and your notifications blowing up. Word on the street is that Drake, yes, Drizzy himself, has finally admitted something that has fans shook to the core. And it's about none other than Kendrick Lamar. If you thought the rap battle, vibes between these two were just subtle hints on social media or low-key diss tracks, think again. This is full-on headline-stealing chaos, and LA is buzzing like never before. Sources close to both camps say emotions ran sky-high, tempers flared. And what started as a friendly conversation allegedly turned into a full-blown public meltdown. Fans are shocked. Social media is exploding. And insiders claim that Drake was literally seen crashing out all over Los Angeles after realizing just how deep Kendrick's recent moves had hit him. And we're talking not just career-wise, but personally, things got messy. But here's where it gets juicier. People are saying that Drake didn't just admit defeat quietly. Oh no, he allegedly verbally confessed right in front of friends, family, and even a few paparazzi who just happened to catch it on camera. Rumor has it, the confession had Kendrick's name dripping with the kind of respect and fear that only true rap legends command. And the internet. It went absolutely wild. Twitter, TikTok, Instagram fans are dissecting every word, replaying every moment and theorizing about what it means for the future of the rap game. Now, imagine this, the streets of LA buzzing with whispers. The family divided, friends taking sides. And Drake himself reportedly spiraling, while Kendrick, collected, maybe even smiling at the chaos he left behind. Trust me, you're about to hear stories, dialogues, and insider moments that no one else is talking about. So buckle up, because the story we're about to break will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about the King of Toronto and the Compton legend. It all started one late, humid night in Los Angeles. It's the kind of night where the city lights glisten off the pavement and every corner seems to hide whispers of secrets, rumors, and drama waiting to explode. Drake, the King of Toronto himself, was spotted rolling into a high-profile Hollywood party trying to appear casual, cool, untouchable, but insiders say the truth was far from the public image he always projects. Those closest to him claim he was jittery, scanning every entrance, checking every face, as if he was bracing for an emotional hurricane he knew was coming. And fans, social media detectives, and even paparazzi who were lurking just outside the velvet ropes would soon witness something that none of them were ready for. The long-anticipated collision of two rap titans, Drake and Kendrick Lamar. When Kendrick arrived, the room instantly changed. People described the atmosphere as tense, almost suffocating, like the air itself had thickened, waiting for a spark. Conversations stopped mid-sentence, laughter faded. And even the DJ paused for a moment before dropping the next track, sensing the electricity in the room. Kendrick.com, yet commanding, scanned the party with a subtle smirk, and all eyes instinctively followed him to where Drake was attempting to mingle. Friends close to Drake said he went pale the second Kendrick entered the room. The bravado that usually radiates off him suddenly replaced with something raw, vulnerable, and intensely human. One insider said you could see it in his eyes. This wasn't just a rivalry on record or in the charts. This was personal. The first interaction was brief but explosive. Witnesses claim that Kendrick leaned in toward Drake and, in a tone barely audible to anyone but him, said, "You've been king for a long time, Drizzy. But tonight, everyone sees the truth." Sources say that Drake's jaw literally tightened, his smile faltering, and a nervous chuckle escaped him before he muttered something like, I see that." The words were small, but the weight behind them was immense, as if he were trying to convince himself more than Kendrick. Friends reported that Drake immediately moved away, feigning casual interest in the hors d'oeuvres table. But insiders say he was spiraling internally, replaying the encounter over and over in his mind. Within an hour, the tension escalated. Drake allegedly called his inner circle over, his voice shaking in front of witnesses. He's trying to, I don't know, outdo me in front of everyone. Did you hear what he just said?" One source quoted him saying, "Friends tried to calm him, suggesting he ignore it. Play it cool," but Drake reportedly snapped. "Ignore it. Are you kidding me? Everyone is watching. He's standing there like he's untouchable." Sources say that his crew was left stunned, unsure whether to back him up or let him process it, and the room seemed to hold its collective breath as this private moment teetered on public chaos. Things only spiraled further when Drake allegedly made a move that insiders describe as the beginning of full-on meltdown mode. Sources claim he stormed outside into the crowded streets of Sunset Boulevard, yelling, "I can't even. He destroyed me." Multiple witnesses reported seeing him pacing, throwing his jacket on the ground, and talking on his phone in rapid, disjointed sentences. Some passersby allegedly filmed him, and within minutes, clips were circulating online, fueling speculation and giving social media the frenzy it thrives on. Fans were shocked. Some sympathized, others mocked, and almost everyone debated what had actually happened. Meanwhile, Kendrick's camp was reportedly watching this unfold with a mix of amusement and quiet satisfaction. Insiders claim that he stayed composed, smiling slightly as news of Drake's outburst reached him through mutual friends. "He's letting everyone see it," a source allegedly said. "That's exactly what he wants. He's not just winning in the charts, he's winning psychologically." Social media detectives, of course, jumped on every post, every hint, every clip, dissecting Drake's words, facial expressions, and even the way he threw his jacket like some kind of symbolic surrender. Memes, reaction videos, and speculative comment threads exploded, creating a digital wildfire that neither artist could fully control. The plot thickened when Drake reportedly retreated to a private area of the party, a dimly lit lounge reserved for only the closest friends and family. Sources claim he was visibly shaken, running through every possible scenario of what had just happened, muttering to himself, and even pacing in a near hyperventilating state. One insider said he was ranting almost incoherently, talking about his legacy, about being respected, about Kendrick. It was like watching someone realize that the game had shifted under their feet. Friends and family tried to reason with him, telling him to step back, to breathe, to ignore the provocation, but Drake, according to eyewitnesses, would not be calmed. "You don't understand. He's not just better, he's untouchable right now. Everyone knows it." He reportedly yelled "dot" at the same time. A famous Atlanta rapper present at the party and allegedly a mutual friend tried to mediate. "Yo, just chill, man. Don't make it worse," the insider quoted him. But according to reports, Drake was beyond reasoning. He allegedly snapped back. "Don't tell me to chill. You weren't there when he said it. You don't get it." Friends claimed this only made the situation worse, with tempers flaring, voices rising, and even some tears reported among those watching the emotional storm unfold, adding fuel to the fire. Sources say Drake's family became inadvertently involved. His mother allegedly called him mid-meltdown, trying to calm him, offering words of wisdom and perspective, but he reportedly hung up abruptly, frustrated. His brother was said to have joined the conversation later, scolding him for making this worse for himself, while Drake countered with defensiveness that bordered on desperation. The family was left divided, insiders claim, caught in the crossfire of a public rivalry that had suddenly taken a deeply personal turn. Fans noticed the tension too, immediately picking up on cryptic posts and stories on social media, analyzing every detail as evidence of the inner chaos. Meanwhile, Kendrick, ever the strategist, allegedly played his part perfectly. Friends claimed that he continued circulating the party, keeping interactions brief but impactful, letting Drake's meltdown unfold almost like a chess master watching his opponent make a critical mistake. One source said he didn't even touch him. He just let him implode, knowing that everyone, including the fans, would see it. That's a power move. Rumors began circulating that Kendrick might even release a surprise project that would strategically coincide with Drake's perceived vulnerability. Though nothing had been confirmed at the time, by the early hours of the morning, the city of Los Angeles was buzzing. Clips of Drake's meltdown had spread like wildfire, and social media was ablaze with debates, memes, and theories. Fans speculated whether this was a sign of Drake losing his edge, or whether he was simply human, struggling under the immense weight of public expectation and personal rivalry. Insider sources suggested that Drake was privately reviewing every lyric, every move, trying to understand how Kendrick had destroyed him not just musically, but in the perception of fans and peers alike. The drama didn't stop there. By sunrise, reports emerged that Drake had been seen driving erratically across the city, allegedly stopping at various locations to meet with close friends and associates, discussing confrontation and seeking validation advice, or simply an outlet for the overwhelming emotions he was experiencing. One source claimed it was like watching someone relive a public defeat over and over, trying to rationalize it and failing. Emotions ran high. It was intense, raw, and completely unfiltered. Even as this chaos unfolded, the social media reaction created another layer of tension. Fans posted theories, speculated about hidden messages in Drake's recent songs, and dissected every interaction for clues about the feud. One viral thread claimed that Drake's recent Instagram posts were subtle admissions of being outplayed, while others argued he was setting up a massive countermove. The narrative grew faster than either camp could control, with clips, memes, and reaction videos racking up millions of views within hours. Insiders say that by midday, Drake's inner circle was frantically strategizing, debating whether to spin the meltdown as a moment of vulnerability, a creative pivot, or a misstep to be ignored. One friend allegedly said, "We can't let this blow up any further. We need a plan." But another countered, "Let it happen. Everyone's watching. Let them see it." That's the reality. He's in shock. The tension between trying to control the narrative and letting events play out only added to the escalating drama. As the day progressed, sources claim Drake's emotional state continued to fluctuate wildly. One moment, he was reportedly furious and defensive, pacing and gesturing wildly. The next, he was introspective, quietly analyzing Kendrick's every recent move. From lyrics to public appearances, trying to piece together how he had been seemingly outmaneuvered. Friends reportedly described the scene as a roller coaster of rage, shame, pride, and desperation, and said it was unlike anything they had ever seen from the usually composed star. By the afternoon, Los Angeles had become a living stage for what insiders were calling the meltdown of the century. Drake reportedly retreated to a private studio in Hollywood Hills, supposedly to cool off, but friends who were with him said it was anything but a calm reflection. He was pacing, muttering to himself, rewatching clips of the party, analyzing every second. One insider said, "It was like he couldn't escape it like." Kendrick's words were burned into his brain, and he couldn't breathe until he figured out what to do next. Phones were out. Texts were flying, and members of his inner circle were trying desperately to control both his emotions and the narrative. Some were encouraging him to lay low, while others, sources claim, were egging him on, whispering things like, "You can't let him steal the crown. You have to strike back." Meanwhile, social media was a storm of speculation. Fans dissected every frame of Drake's clips from the party, analyzing his gestures, his tone, even the way he adjusted his jacket. Memes circulated like wildfire. Captions like "Drake realizing Kendrick snatched the throne" and "Toronto crying in LA." TikTok videos went viral overnight, recreating moments from the meltdown with exaggerated comedy and dramatic reenactments, amplifying the story to a global audience. Sources close to Drake claim he noticed all of this, and it only made his anxiety worse. He was scrolling, seeing how everyone was talking about him, and it just fed the spiral. An insider said he couldn't escape it. Every notification felt like a punch. Things took an even more dramatic turn when Kendrick reportedly sent a cryptic message directly to Drake's phone. According to sources, the text read something along the lines of, "I respect your grind, but the city knows the truth. Step up or step aside." Friends claim Drake was shaken, holding his phone in disbelief. "He just stared at it for like 10 minutes, one insider said. "You could see the storm brewing behind his eyes. He didn't reply. He couldn't. It was too much." Some sources even suggest that Drake considered deleting his social media entirely. But ultimately, he couldn't pull himself away from watching the chaos unfold. By early evening, the drama had spilled into public spaces. Witnesses say Drake was seen driving through the city, stopping at random locations, muttering to himself and occasionally yelling into his phone. One fan claimed, "I was at a cafe when he pulled up in his car, windows down, shouting about Kendrick. People were staring, and it was wild. Emotions ran high, and the energy was intense. It was like the city itself was holding its breath." Another insider added that Drake allegedly made several calls to industry contacts, trying to figure out the play and regain control of his reputation. According to those sources, some of these calls were heated, with voices raised in frustration spilling over into threats and accusations. The night only got messier. Sources claim Drake's team organized a private listening party to strategize on a response move, bringing in producers, songwriters, and close collaborators. One insider recounted Drake was pacing the room, throwing ideas around, but everything sounded reactive. You could feel the tension, like he was trying to reclaim power but didn't know how. At one point, he allegedly shouted, "I can't let him win. Not now, not ever." But then, moments later, sank into a chair, running his hands through his hair, looking utterly defeated. Friends said the emotional roller coaster was unlike anything they had seen from him before. Meanwhile, Kendrick reportedly stayed cool and composed, playing his cards close to his chest. Rumors began circulating that he had no plans to publicly confront Drake any further and that his victory was more psychological than performative. He didn't even have to touch him, a source said. He let the city see Drake unravel, and that's a power move in itself. People are talking about it everywhere. Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. He's already won in perception, and that's sometimes bigger than the music itself. Adding another layer of drama, Drake allegedly got into a heated argument with his own inner circle that night. According to insiders, tempers flared when one friend suggested he should just let it go and focus on his next project. Drake reportedly snapped, yelling, "Let it go. You don't get it. He humiliated me in front of everyone. I can't just let it go." Another friend reportedly tried to intervene, saying, "You're making it worse for yourself." But Drake allegedly turned on him too, shaking his head and muttering, "Nobody understands the weight of this. Nobody." Friends describe the scene as chaotic, with the tension so thick you could almost see it hovering over the room. Even family reportedly became entangled in the drama. Drake's mother allegedly called again that evening, trying to offer calm advice, but he hung up once more, frustrated and emotional. His brother allegedly confronted him, warning that the public nature of his meltdown could have lasting consequences. "You're making it bigger than it is." The insider quoted him saying, "You're letting him control you." Drake reportedly muttered under his breath, "He already has," before retreating into silence. The family was left divided, some trying to protect him, others urging him to face reality, while fans worldwide speculated about what these private confrontations meant. By midnight, sources claim Drake had moved to a rooftop overlooking the city, a place he often goes to think. But instead of clarity, he reportedly found himself spiraling further. According to insiders, he paced back and forth, muttering lyrics, analyzing Kendrick's every recent move, and replaying the party scene in his mind. It was like he couldn't escape it, one source said. Even the city lights couldn't calm him down. Every reflection, every shadow seemed to remind him of what happened. It was intense. Then came the unexpected twist. Apparently, a group of fans managed to spot Drake on the rooftop and posted clips online. In these videos, insiders claim you can see him gesturing wildly, talking to himself, and at one point even muttering Kendrick's name in a mix of frustration and admiration. The clips immediately went viral, with fans speculating wildly about what he was saying and what it meant for the supposed rap feud of the century. Some called it an emotional confession, others a dramatic overreaction, and meme accounts had a field day. Sources claimed that by the early hours of the next morning, Drake finally collapsed into a chair, exhausted and emotionally drained. Friends say he was silent for a long time, staring out over the city, before whispering something that allegedly encapsulated the night's chaos. He really destroyed me. The words, according to insiders, weren't meant for anyone but himself, but social media was already interpreting everything, dissecting each gesture, every sigh, and every look of vulnerability for hours. The fallout was immediate. Fans flooded forums, YouTube comment sections, and social media with hot takes. While rival rappers and influencers joined the conversation, each offering their own spin on Drake's meltdown, industry insiders claimed that labels and management teams were scrambling, trying to figure out the narrative before it spun completely out of control. Even celebrities reportedly weighed in, sharing their opinions, theories, and sometimes unverified insider info that only fueled the fire further by sunrise. Los Angeles had fully become the backdrop for one of the most dramatic public moments in rap history. Drake's meltdown had evolved from a private emotional struggle into a citywide spectacle, with fans, influencers, and media outlets all participating in what insiders called the viral event no one saw coming. Sources say Drake's emotional state fluctuated wildly throughout the morning, swinging between frustration, despair, and moments of introspection, while Kendrick remained elusive, strategic, and seemingly untouchable. The tension was far from over, and everyone involved knew the story was just beginning. By mid-morning, the drama had reached a fever pitch. Drake's meltdown had become the talk of every corner of Los Angeles. From the high-end cafes of Beverly Hills to the graffiti-tagged streets of downtown, friends and insiders claimed that by this point, Drake had abandoned any attempt at composure. He was reportedly seen at a trendy West Hollywood spot, pacing back and forth, phone glued to his ear, shouting into it in a mixture of anger, disbelief, and raw vulnerability. Witnesses said he looked like a man both searching for answers and trying to rewrite reality, as if replaying every interaction with Kendrick in his mind could somehow reverse the night's events. One insider described the scene. Drake was like a storm. You could feel it in the air. People didn't know whether to approach him or give him space. He was muttering, talking to the air, pacing, gesturing. Emotions ran high. It was chaos, but also mesmerizing. You could tell he was hurting, but no one really knew what he was going to do next. Fans who were nearby filmed the moment, and within minutes, clips were uploaded to Instagram and Twitter, sparking another round of viral frenzy. Memes and reaction videos poured in, dissecting Drake's every gesture, expression, and word. Social media had officially become a second battlefield in the war of perceptions, with fans and influencers debating who had really won. The showdown between Drake and Kendrick. Sources close to Drake claimed that by late morning, he had made his way to a private recording studio, determined to turn his emotions into action. He was angry, but it was productive, one insider said. He wasn't just venting, he was trying to channel the chaos into something he could control, into his music. But the frustration was obvious. Every beat, every lyric he played was punctuated with intensity. He was obsessed with the idea of Kendrick, of what happened, and how it all went down. According to those sources, Drake's session quickly became a mix of creation and confrontation with himself, as if the studio walls were the only place he could process the night's unraveling. Meanwhile, word of Drake's meltdown had reached Kendrick, and sources claim he was reportedly savoring every second of it. Kendrick was calm, collected, strategic, an insider said. He wasn't gloating publicly, but privately he was enjoying the chaos. He knew that Drake's reaction was already shaping the narrative. He didn't even have to step out. The city was his stage. And Drake was performing. Friends close to Kendrick reportedly said that he was even considering a surprise release later in the week, something designed to capitalize on Drake's vulnerability while maintaining an image of composure. The tension wasn't just personal anymore, it had become a high-stakes psychological game, broadcast to millions across the globe. By early afternoon, the situation escalated to an entirely new level. Insiders claimed Drake attempted to confront Kendrick directly, hoping to either clear the air or reassert dominance. But according to sources, Kendrick reportedly refused any face-to-face meeting. Instead, he allegedly sent an intermediary with a simple message: "We talk through music, not meltdowns." Friends of Drake reportedly described the moment as crushing. He was ready to do it, to face him, to show he's still in control, one insider said. And then he realized Kendrick wasn't even engaging. That's when the spiral really deepened. Emotions ran high. He felt humiliated, and it was public. The city had seen it all. Drake's frustration reportedly reached a boiling point later that day when, according to eyewitnesses, he drove across town to confront members of Kendrick's fanbase who were taunting him online. He was furious, an insider said. He stopped outside a cafe, got out of the car, started talking to fans who were filming videos, challenging him, and posting memes. He wasn't violent, but he was intense. You could see the tension radiating off him. People were shocked. Some were cheering him on, some were intimidated, and the scene was surreal. Clips from this confrontation immediately went viral, further fueling the social media frenzy. Fans were divided, some expressing sympathy, others mocking the meltdown, and everyone dissecting the events for every possible hidden meaning. Insiders claim that Drake's inner circle tried to intervene multiple times, attempting to calm him and prevent further public embarrassment, but he allegedly refused. They were trying to tell him to step back, to breathe, to think about his legacy, a source said. But Drake couldn't. He was in a state of emotional overdrive. It wasn't just about music. It was about pride, perception, and ego. The family was watching from a distance, concerned, trying to mediate, but it was like trying to stop a hurricane with a paper fan. Meanwhile, Kendrick's influence continued to loom large. Sources claim that during the same afternoon, he was reportedly spotted at a private location with his team, calmly reviewing music, strategizing, and occasionally checking his phone for updates on Drake's chaos. He was composed, strategic, like he was 10 steps ahead, an insider said. Kendrick knows how to play this game. He didn't need to engage directly. Drake's meltdown was already doing his work for him. Fans and media outlets began speculating about a potential musical response from Kendrick, amplifying the tension and fueling online debates. By late afternoon, the situation reportedly reached an emotional crescendo. Drake allegedly called an emergency meeting with his closest collaborators, producers, and friends, attempting to orchestrate a countermove to regain control of the narrative. He was passionate, emotional, and completely unfiltered, an insider said. He kept saying, "I can't let him have this moment. I won't let him win. Everyone's watching, and I have to reclaim the throne." But the room was tense. Some people were trying to guide him. Others were just watching the storm unfold. Emotions ran high, tempers flared, and there were even moments where people reportedly feared he might walk out mid-discussion. Meanwhile, reports surfaced that Drake's social media activity had reached a new level of intensity. Sources claim he was posting cryptic messages, lyrics that fans interpreted as veiled references to Kendrick, and snippets of studio footage that suggested he was channeling his emotional turmoil into creativity. It was like watching him live his own drama online. In real time, one insider said, fans were obsessed. The algorithm loved it. It was a perfect storm of music, emotion, and social media. Within minutes, these posts exploded across platforms, with fans dissecting every word, every pause, every hidden meaning. By nightfall, Los Angeles had become a city completely consumed by the saga. Insiders claimed that Drake was seen leaving the studio in a blacked-out SUV, reportedly heading to a private location to reflect and attempt to regain composure. Friends described him as exhausted both physically and emotionally, pacing in the vehicle, muttering to himself and replaying every interaction from the past 24 hours. He was tired, frustrated, but also determined, one insider said. This wasn't over. He was thinking about the next move, about how to respond, about how to reclaim his position. But the weight of what happened was heavy. Emotions ran high, and it was raw, unfiltered, and real. Meanwhile, Kendrick's influence continued to ripple through the city. According to sources, he remained calm, strategic, and seemingly untouchable. Reports claimed he was in meetings reviewing music and occasionally glancing at his phone for updates on Drake's public and private reactions. Fans speculated endlessly about whether he would capitalize on Drake's vulnerability with a new release, a public statement, or simply let the drama simmer. Confident in the psychological upper hand he had gained, the tension between the two rap titans had become a public spectacle, a media frenzy, and a social media firestorm all at once by the end of the night. Insiders claimed Drake had retreated to a private rooftop location to gather his thoughts. He was staring out over the city, exhausted, conflicted, but also burning with determination, one source said. He whispered something along the lines of, "I have to come back stronger. I can't let him have this moment." Friends say he was silent for long stretches, processing everything that had happened, replaying the party, the confrontation, and the social media chaos. It was like he was strategizing, grieving, and plotting all at once. Sources close to both camps reportedly suggested that this saga was far from over. Drake's emotional state, combined with Kendrick's strategic calm, set the stage for a dramatic continuation that fans, media outlets, and social media users were already speculating about endlessly. From surprise releases to public statements, collaborations, or even further confrontations, the story had become a living, breathing entity that neither artist could fully control. And as the city slept under the glowing lights of LA, fans around the world waited, obsessed, for the next chapter in this unprecedented clash of rap legends. As night deepened over Los Angeles, the city had transformed into a live theater of chaos, with Drake at the center of a storm he couldn't contain. Insiders claimed that he had called an emergency meeting with a small group of trusted friends and collaborators at a private penthouse, reportedly to plan a final move before the drama spiraled further. Sources describe this scene as tense and electric. Drake was pacing, talking nonstop, his energy oscillating between raw anger and despair. An insider said, "He kept repeating, 'I can't let him have this moment. Everyone's watching, and I have to come back on top.'" There were moments where he slammed his hands on the table, moments where he sank into a chair, staring at nothing, utterly exhausted. Emotions ran high, tempers flared, and the air was thick with anxiety. According to sources during this meeting, heated arguments erupted. One collaborator reportedly suggested that Drake take a step back and let the public calm down before responding. But Drake allegedly snapped, yelling, "I'm not stepping back. He humiliated me in front of everyone. I have to strike back now." Another friend tried to intervene, saying, "You're making it worse, Drake. Just breathe." Drake, sources claim, turned on him too, muttering, "Nobody understands the weight of this. Nobody sees what I see." The family, too, was reportedly involved via phone calls, his mother pleading for him to regain composure, his brother warning him about the public fallout, but the tension was palpable. The family was left divided, some trying to shield him, others urging him to face reality. The drama took a shocking twist when insiders claimed that Kendrick, seemingly aware of Drake's turmoil, allegedly sent a surprise message directly to Drake's phone during the meeting. Sources report the text read, "The city speaks. Your silence is louder than words." Friends claim Drake froze for several seconds, staring at his phone in disbelief. He didn't know whether to reply or throw the phone. One insider said, "It was a turning point. You could see the shift in him, from fury to a strange mix of admiration and fear." Emotions ran high. By late night, the tension reportedly spilled into the streets. Witnesses claimed Drake was seen driving through multiple LA neighborhoods, reportedly stopping at locations where he knew Kendrick's fans congregated, gesturing passionately and talking into his phone as if rehearsing words of confrontation. According to insiders, the situation grew so intense that fans began to follow him, creating impromptu crowds that captured every moment on video. Clips of Drake's emotional state quickly went viral, fueling memes, fan theories, and debates across every social media platform. People were shocked, some cheering, some scared. An insider said, "The city was essentially part of his meltdown, a living audience for what felt like a rap opera unfolding in real time." Meanwhile, Kendrick remained strategically silent, reportedly watching the events unfold from a private location with his inner circle. Sources say he was calm, reviewing music and planning his next move. Understanding that Drake's public unraveling had already shaped the narrative in his favor, friends of Kendrick allegedly said he was considering a surprise musical release or statement that would simultaneously assert dominance and maintain his composed persona. Social media speculation reached a fever pitch, with fans dissecting every subtle post, cryptic lyric, and minor movement from both camps. It wasn't just music anymore, an insider said. It was a psychological battle, a social media war, and a personal vendetta all rolled into one. The climax reportedly arrived around 2 a.m. when Drake allegedly decided to confront the situation head-on. Insiders claimed he returned to the rooftop where he had been seen earlier in the week, muttering to himself and pacing, trying to summon courage. He was shaking, exhausted but determined, one source said. You could see the fire in his eyes. He whispered, "I have to face him. I can't let this linger. I need resolution." Witnesses claim that he made a series of calls to key figures in the industry, reportedly trying to coordinate a private, face-to-face meeting with Kendrick or at least set the stage for a public statement. Sources allege that Drake's desperation and emotion were at their peak. Friends described him as muttering lyrics under his breath, pacing, gesturing, and sometimes shouting, caught between fear and defiance. At one point, one insider claims he shouted, "This city won't see me broken. Not now, not ever." Another source said Drake even reportedly considered a surprise release of unreleased music in a dramatic response to Kendrick's psychological upper hand. And then, in a moment that insiders described as cinematic, Drake allegedly received a call from Kendrick's team proposing a neutral meeting spot, a small, private recording studio in downtown LA. Sources claim that Drake's immediate reaction was a mix of disbelief, anger, and anticipation. He was both terrified and ready, an insider said. He kept repeating, "This is it. I have to make it count." Emotions ran high, tempers flared, and the tension was nearly unbearable. At the studio, insiders claim the confrontation was explosive. Reportedly, both artists were present with minimal entourages, and the air was tense with anticipation. Drake allegedly opened the meeting, shouting, "I won't let this go. You humiliated me." Kendrick reportedly responded calmly, almost chillingly, "I didn't humiliate you. The city made their choice. This isn't personal. It's perception." Sources claim Drake's emotions boiled over, and he reportedly slammed his hands on the table, pacing back and forth while Kendrick remained composed, almost serene. Witnesses said that during the meeting, accusations flew in all directions. Drake reportedly confronted Kendrick about social media posts, fan interactions, and perceived slights, while Kendrick countered with a calm reminder of professional respect and the city's perception. It was intense, one insider said. Every word was loaded. Every gesture had weight. Emotions ran high, and it felt like a battlefield more than a conversation. Then came a twist insiders claim no one expected. Allegedly, members of both teams leaked snippets of the confrontation to the public. Clips surfaced, showing Drake's intense pacing, his frustration, and brief moments where he seemed to falter under the weight of the evening. Kendrick.com, as ever, appeared in short clips, laughing softly. making a gesture that insiders claimed symbolized his perceived victory. Social media erupted. Fans debated every gesture, every word, and every possible hidden message, propelling the saga to unprecedented viral levels. By 4 a.m. Insiders say the confrontation ended with no clear winner. Sources claim Drake left the studio exhausted, emotionally drained, but more determined than ever. Kendrick reportedly stayed behind, calm, reviewing music and letting the narrative work in his favor. It wasn't over, an insider said. Drake was hurt, but he wasn't done. Kendrick had the upper hand psychologically, but Drake's fire wasn't out. This was far from finished. According to sources, the fallout extended beyond the artists themselves. Friends, family, and collaborators reportedly had to step in to manage both emotional and practical consequences. From social media frenzy to public perception, while fans worldwide were glued to every update, clip, and rumor. Memes, reaction videos, and hot takes multiplied exponentially. The city had become a stage, social media the audience. And these two artists were playing roles in a drama that seemed scripted for maximum impact. One insider said by sunrise, Los Angeles had returned to a quiet calm, but insiders claimed the tension lingered in the city's atmosphere. Drake reportedly retreated to a private location to recover and plan his next steps, while Kendrick maintained a composed public silence, letting the events unfold in his favor. Friends of both artists allegedly said the saga would continue in the coming weeks with possible music releases, interviews, and public statements. Fans, social media users, and media outlets remained on high alert, speculating endlessly about what would happen next. The night ended with the city holding its collective breath. Insiders claim, knowing that the story was far from over. Drake's public and private meltdown, Kendrick's calculated calm, and the social media firestorm had created one of the most dramatic chapters in modern rap history. And as the sun rose over Los Angeles, sources insisted, everyone involved and everyone watching knew that the saga was only entering its next act. And there you have it. The full-blown wild saga of Drake and Kendrick that has literally taken over Los Angeles and social media alike. From Drake's explosive meltdown to Kendrick's ice-cold composure. The city has been a front-row witness to what insiders are already calling one of the most dramatic showdowns in modern rap history. Emotions ran high, fans were left divided, and the family, friends, and collaborators of both artists have been pulled into a whirlwind of tension, strategy, and pure chaos. The city has never seen anything quite like this. And it seems like no one, neither Drake, Kendrick, nor their millions of fans will forget this moment anytime soon. But here's the kicker. Even after all the drama, the heated confrontations, the viral social media clips, and the alleged secret meetings, one question remains: what happens next? Will Drake channel this chaos into a comeback so explosive that the world can't ignore it? Or will Kendrick maintain his psychological upper hand, letting the city continue to watch him rise while Drake fights to regain his footing? Only time will tell, but one thing is for sure, this story isn't over. And the next chapter could shake the rap world to its core. So we want to hear from you. Who do you think came out on top in this LA showdown? Is Drake ready to reclaim his throne? Or is Kendrick playing the long game perfectly? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Share this video with your friends so they don't miss the drama. And hit that like button if you're living for this chaos as much as we are. And of course, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. 'Cause trust us, you don't want to miss a single update on this epic showdown. The streets of LA are buzzing. The fans are obsessed. And we'll be bringing you every twist, turn, and shocking moment as it unfolds.